There we go. Welcome to Strong Personalities. This is Yanni Bear, and today I am interviewing Cameron Peters. What's up, Cameron? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Just got back from the gym, cooking my food right now.
What are you cooking?
Turkey breast, and that chicken. Chicken's pretty much all I eat during my cutting.
Yeah. So I met you at the Southwest Regionals here in Texas, and you're in Pennsylvania. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So real quick, you used to compete as a 231 pounder and up, correct?
Yes, I used to do 105.
And now you're in the 198 or under class.
Yes, that's correct. That was all. It was interesting how that came about. My coach Nick Hine, he'll be at Worlds as well. He's like my older brother, man. But we were talking, and he wanted me to kind of figure out where I wanted to stick around weight wise. I know that it was really hard for me to maintain the 230 frame, like extremely hard. So, and I don't really like eating. So a lot different than a lot of the athletes that compete. I don't really eat much. That's my biggest downfall. It's unfortunate, but yeah. So we were just shooting the shit one day, and he's like, "Hey, where do you want to compete at? Where do you want to lie?" He's like, "I'd like to see you do a 90 show." So I was like, "Man, I don't know." So we ended up talking about it, and we ended up pulling the trigger. I signed up for PA Dutch. It was my first 90 show. I had to only cut to 200.2, but we went to 198 just to make sure that my body could make the cut. So a month out, I ended up weighing 234 pounds, which made it like a 36-pound cut in a month. And man, I'll tell you what, it was brutal. It was brutal. And the refeed process was done horribly wrong on my part. That was my fault. I felt like I was ready to eat more fattier stuff and protein, oils, and yeah, it was just bad. But I did all right at that first show. And then
you got first place, or is that third place?
I got first. I got first,
right? Okay.
And then
I guess the refeed went okay if you got first.
Yeah. Mentally, man, I wasn't there. I was not there until probably the third event.
Yeah. Yep.
Third event, man. I think it was a max 18-inch deadlift, and we all trained for, I believe it was a 13-inch, and it got changed day of. So that was guessing, and it was the Wessel's rules, so you only got 3 attempts. So, if you missed an attempt, that was it. You were done. So I kind of played chess, seeing where the other guys were, and I think I ended up pulling like 780, 760, something like that, which was nice. I didn't know what I was going to pull though at an 18-inch, but it was nice. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was fun. But yeah, right then and there I learned being heavy and trying to cut that weight's not fun. Not at all. It was awful. I swear I was close to organ failure.
Yeah. I've been there. So like I walk around right now at 280, and this is where I've made my most strength gains because like I'm actually eating like for my training and everything. But when I first got into Strongman, I was walking around like in the 260s, and I cut down to 231 for my first comp. I actually dropped 14 pounds the day before with just lime juice and tequila. Like that's the only like liquid I had the day before, and I was just in the sauna. Oh, it was horrible. And I had a deadlift event, but the problem is it was the first event. So I barely cracked like 550. It was horrible. I was like, I'm never doing that drastic of a weight cut. So I'm glad is this more of like your natural weight or?
Yeah,
absolutely. Good.
I normally walk around no heavier than 220 ever. The only reason we were so heavy prior to the 90 show was just due to the fact that that's where we were sticking around, and we wanted to try to see where I could maintain with said calories and whatnot. And I just felt slow, unhealthy. Like, I mean, the list goes on. I felt strong. Like, there's no denying that my my pressing felt so much better the heavier I was. But the trade-off to my like the speed and like my anaerobic capacity when I'm lighter, like I'm able to breathe so much better. Getting in a position to deadlift feels so much better, getting a better brace. Like, I mean, there's so many lists of things that I enjoy being lighter than when I was heavier, you know, but truthfully, yeah, I don't walk around any heavier than 220. Like this entire prep, this whole prep for Worlds, I have not woken up heavier than 218 one day at all.
So that's a good sweet spot. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's perfect. And we're slowly dialing back. So I shouldn't have to sweat at all this cut whatsoever. So it's going to be really nice.
And then still take some tequila shots, though. That always helps me just for the competition jitters.
I heard from I think it's Adam Knotts, one of the guys that trains in 105. He competed against my coach at Clash, and he told me he was having trouble dropping them last couple pounds, and he told me vodka helped him lose weight like a lot.
Yep, it dries you out. So a lot of bodybuilders actually do that leading up to like the day or two if they want to dry out a little bit. Vodka, boom, it dries them out, flushes everything.
And that was awesome to learn because I know that no matter like how bad my cut's gonna be, it's never gonna be as bad as my first cut. So like learning these little tricks is nice, because like if I have something to fall back on, I can be like, oh hey, I can try this, I can try that. There's so many different options I guess I could try to see, how it reacts to my body. So that's nice.
So Cameron, I've heard from a lot of people that you kind of came out of nowhere. Do you think that's just because you're not really from like, are you hearing that more from like just people from Texas that saw you for the first time at regionals? Is this something that you've heard before, just regardless of where you're at, whether it's back home or anywhere else that you've competed? Why are people saying that?
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I've only done two 290 shows, right?
Yes.
A lot of guys, like Derek. I mean, CJ's an 80, but he went up to 90. But Devin Ford, a lot of those guys, they've always been at that 90. So, I only did 2 shows there. I think that's a big reason why. And I came in to that 90 show and I did much better than I expected. Honestly, I mean, I could go on about that. That's a whole nother story, but
we'll get to it. Yeah, we'll get to it.
I just think, yeah, I don't know. Really, I didn't even know that people were saying that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because I remember we were at regionals, and I think like CJ's name was the one that I kind of heard at the beginning. That was going to be like on the podium finish, and then you also had Devin Ford, and you're going to go against Devin Ford again here at regionals, and then Derek Owens owns Battle Axe Barbell, where I like to train. But obviously he was putting the show together, so he couldn't compete. But yeah, I think that
was a show, by the way.
It was. Derek Owens always does a great job on putting these shows together, especially as big as that one. Poor guy, man. He's always like just burning the candle at both ends, but he's still chef's kiss when it comes to these competitions. But for you, I think also it's just how explosive you were during the moving events. Like you were hauling ass through those. Is that more of like the events that you like, or do you like more of those static events?
That's been a hot topic as of late. I've had a lot of people ask me, kind of like what are your better events? I think I have a decent mixture of being decent at static and pretty good at explosive. I don't really have a favorite, I guess,
event
between those two. I think I'm well rounded in both those areas, but if I were to pick like an event that I guess I feel like I could be really good at, it'd definitely be an more explosive one. Like, this is a perfect way to explain it. If I was 230 pounds again at 105, I'd say static all day. But lighter, now that I'm competing at 198, I feel like I have a perfect mixture of both, truthfully.
Yep, that makes sense. So have you looked at the list of athletes that you're going against? Is that something you even do, or is it one of those you just focus on your training and whatever happens, happens?
Honestly, if you want to be honest with you, I never look. I never reach out to see who I'm going against, what they're looking like, what their best things are. And it's nothing against the athletes. I just think that's noise that you don't need to necessarily be paying attention to, because you're going to an individual show, of course, to come up, show up, have a good time, do well. But to me, it's never been about kind of seeing how other guys are doing. Of course, like I'm in cahoots with like Devin still, seeing how he's doing. CJ, Derek, I'll talk to him about training, you know. But it's not something that I like reach out and look for. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, I just think that, in my opinion, I think that can mentally destroy you, because you're like, oh, this guy's got this. He's so much better at this than me. You know what I mean? And it's just a never ending cycle that you're beating yourself up against things that don't really matter, because whether you've seen the video or you didn't see a video of somebody doing something better than you, it's not going to change come game day. You know what I mean? That's how I think of it, truthfully.
Yeah. I like how you see that, because you're trying to minimize the distractions. And for some people, when you do see athletes, hitting those like training PRs, and obviously it's going to be different when you're at a competition, when you're, pushing as hard as you can at every single event, because you're doing 3 days. You're not going to, a lot of those people are not going to be hitting those PRs that you're seeing in the training videos. And obviously on social media, you put out what you're doing your best at. So yeah, I love that approach. Minimize the distractions. You can't control who's going to be there, so why waste your time on it? What event are you worried about? Which one concerns you?
Between probably the farmers a tad bit, just because I don't know where the pick height is, and I don't know how the floor is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be slippery. So, you got to take into consideration the shoes you wear, whatever. And then I would say the circus dumbbell just a little bit, because that's a speed event. That's not like pure brute strength. That's get these bells in a timely fashion, and it's kind of like have the best time. So, something that I always do for a show is I keep track of my times for every medley that I do, whether it be sandbag to shoulder, circus dumbbell, whatever it is. And I always try to just beat it come game day, no matter what. That's all that I care about. So out of the two events, I would say it's those ones for both those.
So and I think like if I was competing there, like you said, and I had to choose between those being more, I think the circus dumbbell for me is more of a concern, just because it's day 3. You're going to be completely beat up, and you don't know how beat up your body's going to be until you're there.
Exactly.
Right? You don't know how the travel is going to affect you. You don't know how the time change is going to affect you, especially if you're coming from like a different time zone, how your food intake is, how your water intake is. So yeah, day 3, I feel like the circus dumbbell on day 3, especially since most people's circus dumbbell isn't that like sphere one. It's more of that what's it called, the cylinder shape.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Which one are you most excited about?
Event? Sandbag to shoulder. Deadlift reps. And I'm very excited for the Viking press as well. Stones. I'm excited for all the events, really. But if I had to pick one, absolutely sandbag to shoulder. That's one of my favorite events.
It's an explosive event, trying to get through those bags as quickly as possible. And then I like the fact that because of the results that Lynn saw, like at the Southwest Regionals, on how quickly people were moving through those sandbags, and also because of the weights that he saw at the CrossFit Games, that he bumped up the weights because of how well y'all were doing. How'd you feel when you first saw the numbers for all the weights?
Oh, I was excited.
Yeah.
I was stoked, man, because I only unfortunately I only had a 275 bag, and I only have a 335 pound bag. That's all I've had. We just recently got a 165, but for all the trainings that I've done, I've only been able to use those bags. So I was very happy that they added weight, because I think that last bag is going to really challenge a lot of people, especially after the posterior chain driven deadlift. That's going to be for reps right before. And, I think that's going to, even me, it's going to shock a lot of athletes because, once you get past probably that, fourth, fifth, however many reps, your whole posterior is just ripped apart. And to add to it, a lot of people are going to be controlling that bounce on the tires, resetting. You're taking a good 5 seconds in between each rep. And it's just, I think that's going to be a fun one for a lot of people because people are going to be hurting. I truthfully, and I'm glad that they upped the weight because I think that's going to challenge people. I think it's going to challenge a lot of people. I don't think it's going to be so much as, this was just an easy speed event. I think it's going to really push guys, all of us, really.
Hey, is that squeaking sound your fan? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. Here, I'll turn it
I was like, is that his chair? But then I realized there was like a beat to it. No worries, man. So yeah, your bag ends at 325, starts off at 225. So that's 100-pound difference, 25 jumps in between each one. That's definitely going to be one of those that just because you can lift the 325 pretty well during training doesn't mean that you're actually going to be able to get that so easily because you're going to have to go through what is that, almost 1,000 pounds before you even get to that 325. When it comes to traveling for the events, how much preparation do you put into what you're going to be doing during your traveling, like from the flights, your food? How much preparation has gone into that?
Not much has changed for me because I travel a lot for work. Every 2 weeks, I work a 2 on, 2 off schedule, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So I'm always traveling. So when it comes to like traveling far distance for a show, it's really no different. I got my meals all in place, my hydration, my supplementation, it's always ready to go because I always have it set every 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So nothing crazy goes in. The only thing that I'm always, I guess, a little anxious about would be like a late flight, something throwing me off, and say like I only brought like 2 meals to last me to, 5 when I'm supposed to land, and say I don't get a flight till later. That worries me, but like I said, those are things you can't control, so I try not to stress about it as much. But as far as preparation goes, nothing crazy really changes for me because it's the same thing all the time with me going.
No, yeah, I feel like that's definitely an advantage you have, being used to that heavy travel schedule and still putting in your training and still having your food intake consistently. So yeah, you definitely have an advantage there. What's your athletic background? Like what did you do before Strongman?
I played football all 4 years of high school. And then I played linebacker.
Yep, and I knew it.
And right guard.
What? Right guard? Yeah.
I came from a single A school, and I was one of the faster, I guess, stronger kids, you could say. So I got put on the line, which I didn't mind, because ultimately we make the big plays happen.
There's a lot of full plays for you, huh?
Yeah. And I also would play hockey in the summer. I would play roller deck hockey in a league, and then jiu-jitsu.
All right. Okay. Which has been the toughest sport so far out of all of them, Strongman included?
That's definitely football. The conditioning, can get tough, and the strongman training is a lot like football. Like when you were doing double days, that like feeling when you're going into a peak week and your whole body's just dying, man. And the only thing you're running off of is just pure adrenaline and, anger, whatever it is.
Teenage angst.
Yeah. Like the feeling of double days and like a peak into your strongman training into a competition and then day of after, oh my gosh, it's pretty comparable. But I would say football, hands down.
Because football is like you're dealing with 200, 300, 400-pound weights that fight back versus strongman where you kind of have control of the weight. So yeah, I've never tried Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So I feel like that works that mental toughness. Like you said earlier, kind of playing chess, like seeing what people are doing ahead of you, making sure that, you know, you're only doing as much that is necessary to win or place high, kind of like Martine. He likes to say, it's like, why do I try to go win for the every event if it costs me in the next event and then I drop a bunch of places?
And there's nothing that I agree with more than that right there. And that is honestly what I was going to say before you brought that up about jiu-jitsu, what it's done. It like, so typically if you're wrestling, right, you're not thinking, you're just going at it, right? I don't know. I never wrestled. I just know that wrestlers are very high speed, super explosive. Okay. But jiu-jitsu is very slow paced. You kind of set up what you can with what they're giving you. And you work off of it. Like never go into a jiu-jitsu match like thinking, oh, I'm gonna pull guard, go into a triangle arm bar, you know. No. You go with the pure flow of everything. And that's kind of what I like. You flow. And that's something that I think I've kind of transferred over into competing. I kind of just go with the flow of how everything's going. Like if everything's feeling smooth, like for a perfect example, if I'm pressing, right, and I know that I could move a rep faster than the first rep, I try to keep the reps the same as the first rep because I don't know why. It's just a thing in my head. I just feel like it's zen. It's perfect flow. It's timed. It's a rhythm. It's kind of how I think about it.
What do you do for your mental health during training?
As far as like,
how do you keep yourself from like over stressing or just wearing yourself out? Because a lot of athletes that I talk to, sometimes they're beating themselves up a little bit too much. You know what I mean? About like certain reps not feeling like they feel like they should. Like, so what do you do to like make kind of like maintain that mental flow that you were talking about throughout training so it doesn't negatively impact your training?
I think about it like this. So you know, say you have a bad day, you know, you're shooting for 4 reps at a certain weight and you only do 2, you go to do the third, you fail it. Right. So I always, cause I mean, I used to beat myself up all the time. I don't do it anymore.
Good.
I think, man, so many things go into a good training day. The amount you ate, the amount of sleep that you got, your hydration, the outside stressors that are outside of the gym. You know, I think of all those things. And if I ever have like a bad day, I just take a step back and realize, well, look, I came in and gave it everything I possibly could have today. And that's better than me not showing up at all. And 2, I take a look back and realize that like that happens more often than not. And I'm sure I'm speaking for everybody. You don't have a good day every week. You know what I mean? You're lucky to get 2 good days a month where you're like, man, I crushed everything. I hit all these sets. I hit these goals. You know, I got a PR. Like it doesn't happen magically where you just have a great day every day. It doesn't happen. And I found that out at a young age, thankfully, because I've been training for like 10 years. So, you know, I learned how to deal with it really. And I've realized that like there's a lot of factors that play into it. And especially with that I have bad days a lot, but I can't do anything about it besides continue to work at it, recover, and just stay, you know, just know that I'm doing everything that I possibly can be doing to be better every day. You know what I mean?
So it sounds like breaking down like the main points right there, it would be if you're having a bad day, assess why you're having a bad day. So then you can break it down and, okay, I can improve all these little things like my hydration, my food, my sleep that I didn't do as well as I could. Like I didn't set myself up for success. Yeah. 2, be honest with yourself when it comes to the expectations you are having with training, right? If you're wanting to have perfect training every single day leading up to a competition, that's no bueno, right? Like
yeah, I think it's unrealistic. I think that's an unrealistic pack to have. I think if you can take a step outside the box with everything in life and think about it from a realistic standpoint and put in the multiple factors that go into your everyday life, I think you'll be a lot happier with yourself and able to accept, how you did in the gym or how you did at work, or, you know what I mean? I just think I think if you look at everything from a realistic perspective without being favoritistic towards it, you're setting yourself up for a good day or success. You know what I mean?
And I think part of training, part of competing at these higher levels is the support system you surround yourself with. Tell me about your support system. Who is it? What parts do they have? I saw your dog. You better mention the dog.
Yeah, that's my dog Sadie. She's a little 6-year-old border collie. Man, I have a really good support system. I have a group of like probably 8 friends at my gym that we all train at. And
train at?
I train at Pharrell Barbell. It's located in PA, just about 20 minutes outside of where I live. The gym owner, Kelly, she's done great things for me with helping me get equipment, helping load up sandbags, buying specialty bars. I mean, the list goes on. She's done great. My one friend, Hibben, my coach, Nick, that man, he's like my older brother. He's the older brother I've never had. I love that. I love him. He's literally family to me. I don't consider him anything else. My wife, Stephanie, she's like my super fan. She loves it. But yeah, I have a great support system. My family, I mean, we have, my gosh, I think we have around 10 people going down just to watch me at Worlds this year. And that's not cheap. That's not a cheap venture whatsoever. But they're all going and they're going to support me, and it's going to be great. At the regional show for the first time, I haven't had my my dad there. That was tough, but I knew that he was watching at home and I had everybody back at home reaching out to me, and I don't know. I have a lot of people in my support system. Honestly, the whole town. Really, I live in a small town. A lot of people know me, and truthfully, I mean, it's all for them. Everybody as a family, like, really supports me, and it's great. Like, I've been blessed, and people don't realize how much having a good support system really pushes you. When you have a group of people that truly believe in you more than you believe in yourself, something special, man.
It sounds like it. I can hear it in your voice, like how passionate and how much that support system feels. So you said you're having 10 people, 10 family members visiting you going to see you compete. Is that additional pressure, or is that almost like a little piece of your hometown there to make things easier?
No, man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel the pressure every show I've ever done, like crazy.
How do you deal with it?
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know, man. I put a lot of internal pressure on myself, and a lot of it comes from the outside voices, expecting such high things of me, and you know what? I worry about it until it's my chance to get on the floor to do my rep outs or whatever. And then I kind of forget about it all. And I just try to beat that time in the gym or that rep count that I got, and then it all just kind of goes away. And then I just think about them all in the back of my head. Like, I hope that makes them proud, just me going there, I think is going to be great for them, and I don't know, it pushes me, don't get me wrong. But as far as how do I mentally deal with it, I couldn't tell you, because it's hard.
Like, you're in the zone. I have a feeling like when you hit ground in Florida or any competition when you're traveling, I feel like you kind of hit the zone based on what I'm hearing. And that's why you're saying that you don't know how you do it, but I think that's what it is. You hit a certain focus, like you're in competition mode the second you hit the ground in whatever state you're competing. I think that's what it is with you.
I call it a switch. It's a mental switch. I kind of flip it on, and I'm just focused on well, I guess not so much what I got to do, but what I want to do, how I want to do, what I want to be, things like that. But
what does competition mode look like to you? Like what does competition mode look like for you? Are you quiet? Are you a little bit like joking around, maybe a little bit more to kind of release the energy? What how do you act?
I don't honestly, I don't think I really change until I go out on the floor. I'm just myself talking about going. Like before every event at that regional, man, I was talking to CJ before every event. We were talking, having fun, having a good time, laughing, joking about things. Same with Devin. I speak a lot. I like to talk to a lot of people. I gain knowledge from that. I learn things. I don't know how it's going to be at Worlds, but I'm going to be the same. I'm sure there's going to be people that want to be quiet in their little Zen mode, which is fine. I'll understand that. I get that 100%. But as far as like how I get when it comes comp time or right before, I go out, I don't think I really change. I'm enjoying the moment. I'm a 24-year-old. This is a kind of a big deal to me. I don't know. Nothing changes with me, I don't think. Except when I go for
competition superstitions.
Yes. I am superstitious. Oh gosh.
Tell me. I want to hear it.
So my shorts that I have not washed since I started competing, my Evolution shorts.
That's a biohazard now, man.
Yeah. Same with all my gear, man. I just don't. I'm very superstitious, and I know that it realistically doesn't have anything to do with how I show up that day. But to me, it's just it's a closure thing, man. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like, all right, we got everything the same way it was before. Da 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 da. So yeah, I got the same shoes that I've worn for the last 2 years. The heels are coming off, but don't care till I don't do beat out what I'm expecting myself to do, I guess, is when I'll change it. You know what I mean? I was talking to about that actually the other day, and he's like, man, if you think that stinky gear gives you that edge, I'm here to tell you that you're crazy. I'm like, I know. But I'm super.
Can I tell you a theory about that superstition? Because you're not the only one that has that I've heard from. I think it has to do with the smell of your gear reminds you of where you train. So it helps you stay calm. Like it's it's just a theory. It's just like my hunch when I break it down. But I have a feeling that smell just reminds you of where you train out of consistently every week leading up to the competition. And it's almost like a calming thing because you're like, oh yeah, I've done this before 100 times. I got this.
That's legitimately a psychological thing. That's true. It's called oh man, I can't think of it, but it's along the line. It's along the lines of a social norm.
Yeah, because I know some of the strongest memories that we have to do with our sense of smell. So I really do think it has to do with that. And like you said, there's a name for it. So we're coming up here at the last 4 minutes of this. All right. So I want to know more just about you now that we've talked about the training, about OSG and everything. So what was the last thing you read?
Book-wise?
Yeah.
It
could also be articles in the internet, people get like those.
Okay.
Yeah.
The last thing I read was an article about one of my favorite bands, Lorna Shore. I'm very in touch with music.
I see the drum set back there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm big into music. I like doing vocals. I like the heavy metal stuff. Yeah, last thing I read was about Lorna Shore and their Outbreak album and how they dropped their EP and really came into their own with their own little sound and like the adding of their vocalist Will, who's so charismatic. I'd love to meet the guy. Has really just brought life to I wouldn't say a dying genre of music, but not so popular genre is slowly becoming commercial in a sense. Really interesting read. That was the last thing I could think of that I've read. Truthfully.
Where did you get your dog?
I got her.
What was your dog's name? Benji?
Sadie.
Sadie, sorry.
I got Sadie 6 years ago before I left for Navy basic training. Come here. Say hello. Here she is right here.
Hi, Sadie.
I got her, 6 years ago. We got her in Ohio from, unfortunately, a puppy mill. We were told she was a border collie mixed with a lab, which she is not a lab at all, but she's very smart. And then we got a German Shepherd puppy, Momo, who we have sleeping in the other room now. She's a little crazy. We just figured we shut the door for that.
What do you wish you were better at?
Man, that's a tough one.
And we're coming up on the last minute and a half here.
Probably, I wish I was better at saying how I felt about certain things that I want to hold in, I guess.
Okay, like emotions?
Yeah. Because unfortunately, and I think I speak for a lot of guys, a lot of people, not just guys, but we hold shit in.
Yep.
We hold it a lot until something comes up and it just comes out, and not in a positive way whatsoever. A lot of us don't think that we can talk to people when we can, but as we've I guess you could say evolutionized, we all feel as if we need to hold it in because we're men. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We are meant to be strong and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say that, like, honestly, I think that's something I definitely need to do better at. And I think I am doing better at it. When I get upset, just finding something as simple as going to listen to a song can just make you feel so much.
So real quick, I agree. I recommend journaling because you practice saying those words and you write it down and gives you time to process, and it'll build up that confidence to actually share your feelings. All right, we had some technical issues there that interrupted what we were just talking about, and I think it's super important. Cameron, you were talking about how you want to be better about sharing like your emotions. And then I was talking about like one of my best practices that my therapist gave me is like journal it out, right? Because that gives you practice and like in a safe environment. What have you done to like help you improve that skill?
Just honestly, when I'm feeling a certain way, my first go-to always is music. Whether it be drumming, whether it be writing, kind of like you said, jotting things down. I guess in a sense I do as well with lyrics when I like write music. And then second will be I'll talk to my dad because my dad's like my best friend.
Good.
Talk to him everything. He knows everything about me, all the good, the bad, the okay.
The okay.
Just finding something that just helps me deal with it is much healthier than it used to be, because back in the day when the testosterone was at all time high and I just throw a fit when I didn't get my way, have these little anger issues. It's just that's just not the way to go about it, man. If you're feeling this type of way, let it out. Speak out, whether you're depressed, anxious, upset, mad, whatever it be. I think that's the best option. And I think especially now, with social media, we see this portrayal of a perfect life. And a lot of the times people's lives aren't perfect. They just put that on to make it look like it is. And those are the ones who are usually struggling the most. So just finding that exit. And luckily we got, the suicide hotline, you got people that are open to talk to. So, swallowing your pride is worth, all that to me. And I think
my therapist says that like as we grow up, we sometimes have a bad habit as men to lean towards one emotion, and for us it's usually anger. Like anger is the one that has the speakerphone for all the other emotions that are actually trying to say something. So I'm glad you said that, because that was the same issue with me, where anger was always the one that would speak up, kind of like the big brother, you know what I mean, that wanted to protect the other emotions. But the problem is you never develop those emotions. You don't develop how to emote those feelings in a healthy manner, and then anger just gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and then you need to use different tools in the toolbox. So my question here is, Does Stephanie know what kind of mood you're in based on what song you're drumming?
Oh yeah, yeah. Listening to, trying to emulate the vocals, screaming like a demon. Honestly, uh, anyone that knows me can tell. And believe it or not, the angrier stuff that I listen to usually means I'm much happier. And it's
Really?
stuff where, I'm down or mad. It's complete polar opposite of what you think, but I like a lot of the music that's I guess some would say maybe offensive, ignorant, critically acclaimed in a sense, just because they're doing something that I want to do, and that's express how they feel about a certain thing, but they're doing it on such like it's like a spiritual level, man. Like that's how I think about it. Like they are releasing how they feel emotionally throughout everything, the lyrics, the tone of voice that they're using, the instruments, the melodies. Like it's beautiful to me. That is, yes, 100%. She knows all the time. She can tell even if I'm the slightest bit off, just by the tone of voice in the morning. It's crazy how when you're with somebody for so long, I guess the triggers.
Yeah, they know all the cues. They know all your cues, man. It's that vulnerability that makes those relationships that much stronger and meaningful.
The only person that does it better is my dad, man.
He's got a few years on Stephanie though, so let's be honest.
Yeah, I could just breathe the wrong way or not even sigh. I could just be like, and he'd be like, "The hell's wrong with you?" I'd be like, yeah, but dude, that right there. I mean, that's the kind of support system you need as well. Having those people around you that can, talk to you when you're upset, deal with you, help walk you through something that's really bugging you.
Truthfully. Yeah, man. So, hey, thanks for talking about that. I really appreciate your time. This time Zoom won't interrupt our ending here. Where can people find you on social media?
I'm tagged. Cam knows best at everything. Don't judge me though. I made that when I was 15 years old. It's just stuck, man. People call me that all around the place. But yeah, that, or if you want to get to know me, you could add me on Facebook, Cameron Peters. But yeah, man, anytime anybody wants to reach out, they can hit me up. I've had a lot of people reach out, younger athletes, stuff like that, and it's been great being able to help people. That's one thing, as toxic as social media is, when you can use it for the right reasons, it feels good when you're able to help someone out, give them advice, talk to them, just even having the same interests and making a new friend.
Yep. Finding
like
that community.
That's how, honestly, CJ and I, Kraus, became such great friends, even before the show, way before the show.
How'd y'all meet?
Well, we never met. We didn't meet until the regional, but we just were in constant cahoots with each other, asking about how training's going, what our goals are for the future, things like that. And it just carried on. And then, I mean, you saw it at the regional, man. It was like a brotherhood that day. Like with nothing, we didn't think about anything. We just did it. And, the hug right after the deadlift is something I'm always going to remember. It just was, we put everything we had into that, and we both went into it talking to each other, knowing we were going to battle it out and have a good time. And that's what we did. And then just, I don't know, man, I've not truthfully met many people as nice and, what would the word be, thoughtful as that CJ is, man. He's a really good friend of mine. I consider him a great friend. Yep.
Some of the best relationships I've developed here in the last few years have been from the Strongman community, so I totally understand that feeling. Any last words? Any last message you want to give out?
Honestly, I just I'm wishing everybody good luck. Anybody who watches this, anybody that isn't competing as well, like just go for your goals, man. Like if I had $1 for every time I was doubted when I was a younger kid, you know, I'd be rich. I wouldn't work the job that I work right now. But it's I think it's called Murphy's Law or Law of Attraction. Law of Attraction. If you firmly believe that you can do anything that you set your mind to, whether it be, for me, I always wanted to compete at World's Strongest Man, eventually, possibly win it. I've always wanted to be known since I started training to be one of the strongest in the world. And I've held that thought in my head since I've been 15 years old, and I've put a lot of work into it. Don't get me wrong. Everyone else has. But I firmly believe the law of attraction is a real thing. You put the work in as much as you possibly can, and you 100% believe in it and in yourself, you can do it because the universe will do the rest. Like that, if there's one thing I could say to anybody that watches this, like, you can do anything within reason. So what the hell's stopping you? Go do it because you can. And that would be the one thing I want anybody to listen to. Like, you can do anything. It's all right here. It's all mental. People think that strength sports, strongman, it's all physical strength. It's not. It's mental. It's mental. It's mental. It's mental. If you believe that you can do anything, you can do it. And I'm a firm believer in that. Manifest is the universe.
That's awesome. And I interviewed Joey Gap last week, and he said the same thing. He's like, whatever you want to pursue, whatever your passion is, just make sure that you go for it, right? Because you don't want to live a life that you didn't pursue your passions. And then just remember that if you do pursue those passions, make sure it's with 100% commitment.
I couldn't agree anymore, man. And I think a lot of younger athletes, people, or even people that doubt themselves, if they just took a moment to step back and like look at what you can really do with fully believing mentally that you can do whatever it is you're driving towards, you can do it. I mean, list goes on. And then not to get way off topic, but this is kind of on the topic of it. I mean, there's stories of 115-pound women lifting cars off of their children.
Yep.
After car accidents, man. You can't tell me that you can't go out there and, pull a 500 deadlift if it's your PR. It's all about self-belief and knowing and finding that, because our physical strength as humans comes from right here. We have a special thing, and that's our brain. It's not just our genetics and how we're built muscularly and leverages. It's all mental. And it's true. Use that as an example. I mean, that's the best thing I could say. I read a book. I can't even remember what it was about, but it was kind of how to tap into that mental switch, finding that fight or flight in a sense, and finding comfort in it, and understanding that, physical strength is over 90% mental. And I couldn't say that I agree with anything more that I've ever read in my life.
Yeah, because for you to be that full 100% commitment, kind of like in that example that you were giving about that, was it the mom having to lift the car?
Yeah.
Her commitment 100%, and her only focus was lift that damn car. Like, that was it. And for us, no matter how hard we try, there's always, a few things going on in our head, and it's not always 100% on the lift. But yes, great words. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I can't wait to see what you do at OSG. I'm excited for you. I hope it goes well. I know you'll probably have one of the largest support groups there, because it's 400 athletes, man. So it's going to be huge. But
long days, whatever. It's going to be fun though.
Yep.
And Lynn's going to really make it for the athletes and about the athletes that day. I know he's going to, it's going to be a fun time for everybody. And I think I'm speaking for everybody. Everyone's getting excited.
Yep. But again, thank you for your time, man. I really appreciate this conversation. I really enjoyed it, especially on some of the subjects that we covered that need to be covered a little bit more. And yeah, man, keep killing it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm gonna continue working, man. I hope to see you there too, or soon down the road. I know for sure I'm gonna be heading down towards Houston to train with Derek after this prep too. So I'll make sure.
Yeah, man. I'll see you there at the gym.
Yeah.
All right. See you, bud.
Thanks, brother.
Bye.